This is Lauryn Goodman versus Kyle Andrew Walker, a 30-page legal document issued by the Central Family Court, which lifts the lid on the secret court battle between the England and Manchester City ace and his ex-mistress. It's extremely rare for the often secretive family courts to make these judgments public, but the detail contained within these pages perhaps explains why Judge Edward Hess chose to lift reporting restrictions. Inside, he gives his verdict on a scandal that has gripped the nation since the start of the year. And it makes terrible reading for Lauryn Goodman. The judge tears her to shreds for using him as, and I quote, an open-ended checkbook. The bombshell court ruling accuses her of cashing in on his betrayal of wife Annie Kilner. She knew that he was desperate to keep the birth of their one-year-old daughter, Kinara Storm, a secret, but used it as leverage to get what she wanted, the judge says. This scathing document, delivered at the end of a £1 million legal battle between the pair, brands her an unreliable witness who chose to further her own case rather than tell the truth. She spent, and the judge says, money like it was going out of fashion, and issued a series of outrageous demands of the Premier League footballer, who his lawyer claimed she had over a barrel. They included £33,000 for air conditioning at her 7-bedroom mansion in Sussex, 22 grand furnishing fund, £70,000 for a Mercedes GLE to be replaced every 3 years, and a £30,000 car allowance for a nanny. On top of that, she wanted £14,750 a month in child maintenance for both of their children, £4,000 a month in childcare costs, a bespoke wood and glass baby gate, and even an iron. She also insisted on £31,000 for an AstroTurf pitch, telling the court that baby Kinara had kicked a ball with her left foot from a crawling position and showed the talent as a potential lioness of the future. The judge dismissed this as an evidential leap. Kyle, who court documents revealed is worth a staggering $27 million, had already shelled out £50,000 for fitted wardrobes and a media screen, £75,000 for a furnishing fund, $9,115 for 14 CCTV cameras, $5,500 for an alarm, and £52,000 for curtains and blinds. The £150,000 a week footballer, who also has a 4-year-old son to Lauryn, gave way to the flurry of financial demands in a desperate bid to keep her quiet. He even increased her housing budget from 1.85 million to 2.4 after she threatened to move within 10 minutes of his Cheshire home. But in his withering assessment of Lauryn, Judge Edward Hess said she had no intention of ever keeping it a secret. She'd laid a trail of breadcrumbs with a series of social media hints and had not just cooperated with, but actively instigated a feeding frenzy that erupted after he was finally exposed. The judge, in his assessment, said of Kyle, throughout 2023, he sought to keep the fact that he was Kinara's father's secret. It is clear from the evidence that he was understandably embarrassed about this fact and anxious about how his wife would react when she found out. In his attempts to persuade the mother to go along with the retention of secrecy, the father, Kyle, gave way to many of those financial demands, which he might otherwise have resisted. The judge continues, the evidence before me has amply demonstrated that the mother, Lauryn, was able to leverage these substantial increases by hinting that she would go public on the paternity issue. She also threatened that if she did not get what she wanted, she would select a home a stone's throw away from his in Cheshire, an idea, the judge said, which she knew would horrify Kyle. If the father, he continued, thought that these rather generous house budget increases would keep his paternity a secret, he was to be disappointed. The mother plainly had no intention of keeping the matter secret. The judge rather tellingly concludes, I think that the father was correct to observe that the mother was in many ways treating him as an open-ended checkbook. The judgment was delivered after a 2-day financial remedy hearing for Kyle's daughter with Lauryn. She began proceedings just 2 days after her daughter was born on June the 28th last year. Both Kyle and Lauryn gave evidence during the 2-day hearing at the Central Family Court in London, less than 48 hours after England's heartbreaking defeat to Spain in the Euros final. Fullback Kyle, who according to court documents is worth $27 million, flew home with his 3 Lions teammates after the 2-1 loss before arriving at court the next day in a suit for the showdown. Today, This judgment is available for the public to read, but only after the judge granted a victory for press freedom. He dismissed Lauryn's claim for privacy, adding, "It sits ill for a person to come to court arguing for privacy for her children when, just a very short while earlier, she took a payment from the press to visit the European Football Championship with her son dressed in an England football shirt with the name Daddy on the back." He goes on to say, "If the children suffer any harm from the publicity of these matters, it has already happened, and," he says, "it will be largely the result of the mother's own decisions and actions."